long time no see. It's been months since my last upload. I guess I'll get right into it. So, finally out of the military. About 2 months out. I can't remember when the last time my last upload was, but 2 months. I've been out for 2 months. And then I start active reserves soon, but right now, technically, I am in military limbo. I'm supposed to be looking right there, so that's what I'm going to do. As of lately, just been getting my life on track. Life is a bit better, you know. Excuse me. I don't know what's up with this, but just getting my life on track. Going to the gym per usual. I'm just, man, I am happy to be out of Bahrain. So happy. Middle East for 4 years. Can you believe that I was there from 19 years old to 23? And then I came home like one time. Once. Since, I've been back, US is in like absolute turmoil. But at least, right now I'm not really obligated to, the craziness that's happening out there. So I picked up a new hobby. I really suck at it. I really do. But how am I gonna get better if I don't practice? And that is painting. Been painting lately. Now, a lot of my friends would say I'm not really a painter kind of guy, I go to the gym, I'm kind of a meathead, gamer, whatever. I do a lot of dude stuff, but I actually really enjoy painting. I'm actually like a really big art and history nerd. So in my free time, I spend a lot of my time consuming knowledge. But mainly, like, a lot of the stuff that I like learn about is like stuff that like is really unheard of, like, the crazy stuff that Roman emperors would do during their reign, or like schizophrenic artists and why they painted the things that they painted. Or mainly, like, some people might find it boring, but I like analysis of paintings where like they dissect every detail and like what it could mean and stuff like that. But that's just like a little rant or yap session. I am just transitioning to a civilian has been a bit hard, but I can just say that I'm just glad to be home, after being gone for so long and dealing with all the stuff that I dealt with. But I'll get into that in a little bit. Next, I'm gonna show you some of my paintings, even though they suck, and you can sit here and clown me if you want to. Let's see you paint. Okay, so the first one I painted it's inspired by an artist named Leon Spiliart, and he painted this, or like, it's not even really a painting, it's like charcoal, but it's called Fawn by Moonlight. And I think he painted it in the the early 1900s, late 1800s. But mine is like my own version. So I watched the movie The Witch recently, and there's a goat called Black Phillip in it. And since there's goats in Fawn by Moonlight, I figured I'd do my own rendition, but I'll show it to you. So this is the first one. I really hate the church that I painted. It looks really kindergartenish, but it looks backwards because of the camera, but the goat is facing like that way on my end. Anyways, the moon shines this way, so I got the shadow and such. But this is acrylic paint, and I like acrylic paint because it dries fast, but I don't like acrylic paint because a lot of my favorite artists are oil painters. So, you know, I want to learn how to oil paint, but working with oil paint is the worst. It doesn't dry fast. It's like I have paintings that are yet to dry. It's been days. But as I keep going, you know, I like those portrait styles, you know, like the Renaissance, stuff like that. I really want to paint stuff like that, but right now I'm stuck with this lack of skill. So this is the first one I painted, Fawn by Moonlight. The second one I painted is my own, I call it Anger Within Grief. It's an oil painting. As you see, it's still kind of drying out, but I had like a foggy background. He's like crying tears of blood, because you know when you're angry and you like angry cry, like the rage you feel, like you just feel like you could burst, you know. But this is Anger Within Grief. You can, you know, do your own interpretations. Okay. All right, my third painting, I named it Monolith. So Monolith is a great stone structure, and I wanted to do a landscape one. I'm very critical of myself. I'm not really a fan of this one, and it's still drying, but I don't think the camera's gonna be able to pick up a lot of its detail. Sorry that took so long. This is it right here. This is the great stone structure. I was learning texture a little bit, and the wind blows this way, and the silhouette is watching the monolith. I tried adding detail within the ground, like some gray, but I'm still learning oil paint, you know? And then finally, I did this little speed painting. There's another favorite artist of mine is Francesco de Goya, I think his name is. I mean, he has this sort of style, but not really, because it is more detailed. But I call this the Sorrowful Angel. You know, it's crying right there, and then has the wings. This one's more of like a speed one, but I like it. You know, it's me. You know, I like the dark, ambient stuff like that. I don't know, but this one's called the Sorrowful Angel. Anyways, that's a new hobby of mine. You know, I've been wanting to get into something new, and I enjoy it. You know, I like learning about it, so I might as well try it out. I forgot what I said I was going to talk about earlier in my video. Oh, what the hell, it doesn't even really matter. So I got a new job as well. I work security. I mean, I was just a master at arms in the Navy. So for now, I'm gonna do something I'm good at, you know, just have some money coming in, and then start pursuing something that I actually really want to do. But since I'm so fresh out, I'm still learning who I am as a civilian, or like just a person without like way more responsibility than what I used to have. So I have more time for interest and stuff that I like. But yeah, man. So obviously a lot of the stuff that I paint is kind of dark, I guess. And obviously I like the dark and ominous, and like I just said, I guess I want to get into a little bit how I feel about a lot of things, about life. This is gonna be a long video. So when I was overseas, I went through a very mentally traumatizing divorce with my ex-wife. Obviously, it's my ex-wife. Back then, I had a lot of spark in my eyes, you know. Had a really good, solid group of friends. I'm still keeping contact with most of them, but back then, I feel like I was doing a lot of things that just like weren't me. And then like in my relationship, Like I would cut pieces out of myself to, make my relationship work. And in the end, no matter what I did, nothing would work, and things just kept going downhill for me. Like no matter how much I tried to fix, it just kept breaking even more. And then finally, like I got fed up and, sealed the deal on the whole situation. But after that, I realized I didn't really know who I was anymore, because, I had cut so many pieces out of myself that I was just unrecognizable. And all my hurt and all my grief and mourning my relationship and everything did something to me. Like I was so blinded, I was so angry, so hurt. I was mad at the world, I was mad at the military, like the stereotypes in the military with cheating and stuff like that. I was angry, and that was really what made me want to get out too, is the stereotypes. They're mainly true. Some people you think like that you're serving with are like, they have your back, and then they do something to betray you. I couldn't do it. I got in trouble for, how angry I was, the way I was acting and such. And, it hollowed me out. Now that I'm home and everything, I am starting to get better a bit. I mean, I like all the stuff that I like now because, I can be more of myself. I'm not really worried about what other people are thinking, or, I'm not being influenced by others. But it feels good, to finally be myself a bit, and hurdle over that hard time. But I digress, whatever that means. I just felt like using a big word. I will admit, that being such a big part of my life at an early age, because I got married super young. I got married at 19, and then I was divorced by 22. It doesn't sound like that long, but a lot can happen in a couple years, and I spent a lot of that time alone. So we had a flat at the time. You'd look at it as an apartment. It was 3 bedrooms. And during that hard time in my life, I felt, like I wasn't around anyone. I had to go through it by myself. I'm in the Middle East. I had no family. I had my friends, but my friends had never dealt with anything like that before. So going through that by myself, I literally felt like, and the best way I can interpret it, and it's one of my obsessions, is Dante's Inferno. In the story of Dante's Inferno, Dante is a philosopher, and he's tasked by God to go through the 9 circles of hell and find the bad pieces of hell, I guess, or, critique it, in a sense. That's the best way I could put it. But he was protected. For me, I felt like I went through my own version of the 9 circles of hell. And once you like go down there, it's so hard to pull yourself back up. And I went through it multiple times. Like it drives you insane. Imagine, metaphorically, you put yourself in your mind and you're going through the 9 circles of hell just to crawl back up and fall right back in. That's how it felt for me every day, because I was literally in this house on my off days, in the dark. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't hold a meal down. I was losing my mind, and that literally does something to you. And I don't think I've been the same ever since, but I'm better. I'm over it. Once you go through a hurt like that, you never do it again. It takes something from you. I like to say, like, it sounds really corny, but I say a piece of my humanity was left out there, because there are a lot of feelings that me as a human being, I'm supposed to feel, and I don't feel, like empathy. I think a lot of people that get out of the military are not really empathetic anymore because of the stuff that they've been through. And I went through one of the hardest trials of my life by myself. So I'm not really empathetic when it comes to other people being upset, and it's really messed up. I don't like to feel like that, but I can't control it. But yeah, this is just, again, a yap session. I don't really plan these things. It's been months since I've done this. And then I have like a run on no cuts. Like, I don't even know how to do this YouTube thing. I'm sitting here talking to myself. But anyway, I think I'm gonna close it out there. This is a pretty lengthy one. So I hope you all are doing well. I know I don't really get a lot of views on these things, but I really wanted to do one. It's been so long. I forgot I even had this channel. But to close it out, that whole, story time, whatever, choose you in the end, no matter how hard it hurts. Just at the end of the day, it's either gonna be you or, you'll fall into hell and never come back. I like to use metaphors. Best way I can do it is religious metaphors. That'll probably be my next video, is like my own version of like religious trauma, I guess you could say. I didn't really go through like anything crazy, but I was in such a crazy headspace that like my own mind traumatized me. That wasn't supposed to happen. But yeah, take care, everybody.